The morning I graduated, my mother transformed what should have been my proudest moment into a public exhibition of my perceived flaws. Standing inside our family furniture showroom, she raised her glass to the gathered crowd and announced that while beauty had completely bypassed me, perhaps my intelligence might eventually cover my living expenses. A wave of laughter rippled across the room while she pulled my younger sister forward to declare that God certainly knew how to balance a household. My father fixed his gaze on the floorboards. Relatives raised their camera phones to capture the moment, and I stood beneath a customized banner bearing my name while being treated like a punchline. After the guests dispersed toward the buffet, I slipped into the back office and emptied my savings envelope. Counting $315 earned from weekend library shifts, I dropped my house key onto the desk beside the signed graduation card that contained no written message, leaving the building before anyone cut the cake. My family quickly labeled my departure an overreaction, and within a few months, my name ceased to be mentioned at family dinners. 12 years later, I walked into my sister's wedding holding documented evidence that my mother had spent a decade using my identity to fund their lifestyle. Leaving Columbus on a late-night bus bound for Pennsylvania left me with less than $300 and no backup plan. Beyond putting physical distance between myself and my mother's voice, I spent my first night in a new city sitting beneath the buzzing lights of an all-night laundromat, pretending to watch machines that held other people's clothes. By the following afternoon, I landed a physical labor job at a commercial print shop moving heavy cardboard boxes and feeding paper into binding machines. The dusty warehouse smelled of industrial ink and cardboard, but the supervisors only cared whether I organized files accurately and arrived precisely on time. I rented a small spare bedroom from a surgical nurse named Naomi Brooks, who gave me 1 week to produce my portion of the security deposit, and strictly marked her groceries with colored tape. On my 6th night in the apartment, my mother located the landline number and called while I was stepping out of the shower. Naomi answered the phone, listening in disbelief as my mother declared that running away would never fix my unfortunate face. Placing the receiver on speaker, Naomi calmly asked if my mother was always this bitter or if tonight was a special occasion, prompting my mother to claim I was an unstable thief before hanging up. That evening, Naomi pulled out a blank ledger and instructed me to log the exact time, phone number, and wording of the call, explaining that individuals who lie with absolute confidence always rely on others for getting the specifics. That single piece of advice reshaped my entire future as I began systematically archiving every message, document, and letter sent from Ohio over the following years. My family dispatched 3 formal letters during my first year away. The first demanded an immediate apology, the second fabricated a sudden medical crisis for my father, and the third requested financial contributions for my sister's private tuition. I left every single one unanswered. Naomi eventually encouraged me to pursue a specialized certification in forensic document analysis after a community college instructor noticed my unusual speed at spotting altered clauses in commercial contracts. I spent 3 years balancing night shifts at the warehouse with rigorous training in signature verification, paper degradation, digital fraud detection, and financial auditing standards. While my mother had spent my childhood teaching me that external appearances dictated human value, my technical training proved the absolute opposite. A perfectly styled document could easily hide a massive fraud, whereas a damaged, stained piece of paper often preserved the unvarnished truth. By age 27, I had established myself as a senior financial investigator in Maryland, spending my days dissecting fraudulent corporate ledgers, analyzing suspicious contract amendments, and tracking asset movements for regional banks. I had also built a quiet, grounded life alongside an architect named Julian Vance, who never felt the need to shower me with superficial compliments, valuing my analytical mind instead. My mother maintained her public narrative back home, telling curious relatives that I had abandoned the family out of petty jealousy and deep shame over my physical appearance. I chose not to publicly release the old graduation video, preferring to build a stable life that her spiteful narrative could never touch. My quiet distance collapsed when a routine commercial audit landed a familiar signature on my work desk. A regional furniture retail network in Ohio was facing bankruptcy inquiries following questionable credit applications, and attached to the file was an old loan guarantee bearing my full legal name. My mother had forged my signature to secure business credit lines shortly after I moved away, utilizing my clean credit profile to prop up her failing enterprise. Upon running a comprehensive credit history, I discovered she had also used my name to secure equipment leases, revolving store accounts, and a recent $380,000 credit expansion. Rather than confronting my parents directly and giving them time to destroy evidence or manufacture new excuses, I filed formal identity theft reports with federal regulators, froze my credit reports, and retained legal counsel in Ohio. A month later, my sister phoned me in tears, begging me to sign a retroactively dated affidavit claiming I had verbally authorized the financial arrangements years ago. When I flatly refused, her tearful tone vanished, replaced by an icy demand asking why I cared about a signature I was not actively using anyway. That single comment erased my remaining hesitation, especially after I discovered that portion of the fraudulent loan had been transferred directly to cover her upcoming luxury wedding venue. 3 months before the ceremony, an ornate gold-embossed invitation arrived at my office without any personal note inside. My attorney advised that attending the event would demonstrate I had nothing to hide, provided I maintained complete composure and carried certified copies of my active police reports. On the morning of the wedding, I walked into the historic marble hotel wearing a dark green dress and the silver watch Naomi had given me upon passing my licensing boards. My mother froze when she spotted me near the entrance, quickly recovering her polished composure to announce to surrounding guests that the family runaway had finally remembered her roots. When my father stepped forward to offer a quiet apology for how things had turned out years ago, I asked him directly what specific actions he was apologizing for, leaving him unable to speak. My sister appeared in her bridal gown, pulling me into a stiff hug for the hired photographer while whispering that I shouldn't ruin her big day with ancient family drama. I quietly reminded her not to use my stolen credit to fund her reception, causing her smiling facade to slip before she quickly turned away toward the mirrors. Minutes later, my mother pulled me into a private holding room, offering me $50,000 from a future refinancing deal if I signed a statement absolving her of financial wrongdoing. When I refused the offer, my mother attempted to physically snatch my document portfolio, prompting my sister to step inside and lock the heavy wooden door behind her. I informed them that every attempt to coerce me was being documented, unaware that my sister's fiancé, a commercial loan manager named Patrick Cole, was standing just outside the doorway. Patrick had already noticed payment processing delays with the hotel vendor, and seeing the formal fraud affidavits spread across the table confirmed his growing suspicions about the origin of the wedding funds. In a private study beside the ballroom, I showed Patrick the certified report numbers and forged signature samples without offering a single dramatic exaggeration. Upon reviewing the official documents, Patrick confronted my sister and mother regarding the fraudulent credit lines that had financed the entire event, leaving my mother shouting that recording or investigating family members constituted the ultimate betrayal. Realizing the full extent of the financial deception and the willingness of the family to exploit an estranged daughter, Patrick made the decision to call off the ceremony minutes before guests took their seats. I walked out of the venue into the afternoon light, holding my document case securely beneath my arm, finally leaving behind the shadow of the showroom floor for a life built entirely on my own terms. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more incredible real-life dramas and high-stakes stories. Drop a comment below letting me know your thoughts on how this folded out, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another upload. Thanks for watching.